Today, we're talking with Steven Nesmith. He's the CEO of the Richmond Redevelopment and Housing Authority, or RRHA.
We're going to end public housing as we know it now in the city of Richmond, to move from a mentality of I should be living in public housing for the rest of my life.
Creighton Court is this decades-old public housing facility, and now you're redeveloping it. What are we looking at when we look at the new Creighton Court?
It's a mixed income community. Some market rate, some what I call middle income workforce housing, some that will be set aside for our public housing residents who want to return. 75% of public housing residents around the country, Richmond's no different, they choose not to come back, but to go live in a different area.
And so why is that? Why don't they want to come back?
Many of them say to themselves, I want to live in a mixed income now, to go immediately find a new environment where I'm around folks that are not just public housing. I grew up in public housing. This is very personal to me. And you know what people say? Drug dealers. And I can tell you right now today, if I go into those big six public housing communities, those young people, they'll say, I can make more money selling drugs. We look up to what we see. I have a white adopted family. They're lawyers. When I grew up, I aspired to be a lawyer.
So in the past, there was this idea of urban renewal. And that's what got us these public housing communities in the first place, right? The idea that, oh, here's a community, it's blighted, it's poor, people are having a tough time there. Let's just demolish it and replace it with something else. Are you worried about Creighton Court? Are we destroying a community there?
The first step is resident engagement. They say this is what we want our community to look like. Then, after those multiple conversations, we bring those drawings to them.
So the folks who are coming back are able to experience that, but it still was a community there. And it's not all just drug dealers and crime, right? There are people who are neighbors and connected.
I used to live in public housing, and I was poor. And guess what? I grew up on welfare also. We can't get lost into this romanticized notion that you got to stay where you are. It's about building new memories and building a new community. That's what's exciting. Aspire for new dreams. That's what I tell my kids every day.
The concern here would be ending public housing isn't really addressing the need that people have for affordable housing. So is that a concern? Is that a danger? What are these folks supposed to do? Is there a numbers game that you're keeping an eye on?
Yes, we're paying attention to those numbers. But this is the problem. We've gotten into a mindset that people ought to be in public housing for the rest of their lives. We have people living in Richmond public housing. They're not paying rent.
Right, but the Legal Aid Justice Center was part of a group that just recently filed a lawsuit against the RRHA about this idea of hardship exemptions, right? That, example of someone from the lawsuit was that their SSI benefits just got cut off and that they're supposed to be granted a hardship exemption.
It's a legal matter. It's not into litigation yet. We've decided we're going to have a conversation. But if you have a hardship, the burden is on you to come to the housing authority and say, hey, I have a hardship. I just lost money. We do the reduction. But if you don't tell us, we don't know.
I'm getting a kind of tough love vibe from you. Is this like kind of the approach that you're bringing?
So guess what happened to me? I got kicked out of the house. When I came back from university and I said, okay, I'm going to do this, Mom, whatever. And she said, well, you got to go get a job.
Yeah.
I didn't get a job because, I thought I could hang around. This Mom's let me hang around, But she said, no, you got to go. But it was tough love.